All right, we're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. Looks like everybody's present except David Thomas, and he's not feeling well tonight. I apologize for the packets being late. There was, Amy had some issues with her software and it's been a hot minute. So if y'all want to review the minutes from last month, I will entertain a motion when y'all are ready.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes a second. Second, all their seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. We will move into our reports. I'm just gonna go slow because I know that you guys have just got those this morning and just got in front of you tonight. So when y'all are ready to move on, you tell me. Are there any questions over the first page, the EMA report?
They basically haven't used anything yet.
Looks good to me, yeah.
Yeah. How often do you, are you gonna have to buy medicines? Are you gonna have to buy? Something I thought of before. Your drugs and medical supplies?
No, we're on EMA. There's a line on it for EMA too.
I don't know why that's on it, but I think communications are in agreements. I noticed that earlier. I'm not sure what.
Oh, these aren't combined,
This is just EMA.
it's just.
And then the second page, the page behind that is EMS. Matt, do you have anything about EMA that you want to talk about?
Not really.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the second page. The EMS budget.
Looks like number of calls per month looks like pretty well. It's about the same amount every month, ain't it?
Stayed about that area in the last few months now. Maybe 30 plus.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is, July 4th, June, for June, he had 134, and in July, he had 136.
That ambulance. It's an ambulance.
I thought we're hoping sometime next year.
Oh,
Yeah, it's It took 24 months just to get the chassis, and then they had a recall on the chassis for wire and harness. And that was going to delay it for about 6 months. It was projected to get sometime here late this year, but they said we're at about 6 more months on what we would have got it this year, so. You know, at the end of the year, but I said sometime first half of next year probably. And that's a generous estimate.
We just have to redo the whole wiring harness.
Well, they had to figure out what was wrong with it and then. Or how to fix it and then go back and fix all of them.
What were they doing? Catch
Catch on fire.
What? That ain't good. Good enough.
Okay, so I see that you included some rates from Macon and WEMA and Sumner.
Yes, ma'am.
What are our rates?
We are 600 for BLS and 700 for ALS. Forgot to put that in there. I had to print it off. I just forgot to. Excuse me.
And how long have our rates been that?
We did adjust them. It's probably been 6 or 8 years. It's been a little bit.
Okay. This from Macon County, the A0428 and those, do you know what that means?
But that would be probably their BLS non-emergency, BLS emergency, ALS non-emergency, ALS emergency, but that's all we go up to. So they have critical care and do transports out of Macon General that have their own ventilators or have multiple medication things.
Oh,
They
okay.
can specialty bill for those.
Okay, so the 429 and 427 would be comparable to our ALS and BLS?
Correct.
Okay. You guys have any comments on the rates?
It's, is it Raritan?
Mhm.
Are they just picking up from the hospital,
They're picking up psychiatric patients.
just from the hospital?
From the hospital.
I'm in a.
I couldn't say. We don't bring them all in the system on there. I'm gonna be obeyed. Oh.
Okay, so page 16, I'm assuming is a write-off that we need to approve
Yes,
or not approve or
correct.
discuss. I'll give you guys a minute to read 16.
No.
I have a motion to approve this for write-off. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then page 16 is another one. I mean, sorry, page 17. And page 19 goes with that one?
Correct.
Okay. So 17, 18, and 19 are all together.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a letter from the, for seven,
From the patient.
okay. Motion for.
Second.
I have a motion to approve this write-off. All those in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? Motion carries. You can print on that one. We just approved that. Are there any other questions for EMS? Matt, do you have anything you want us to talk about?
We are, well, I guess we'll get to it with endorsements. I won't worry about that. But, we did include the write-offs for the insurance and
Mhm.
bad debt, so
I really appreciate that. I really do.
it's not a problem, right? We can send that every time. It's not a big deal. We did come in at 33,000 and change over what we had the revenue previous fiscal year. So we did make $33,000 last fiscal year.
All right. Anything else for EMS, y'all? We'll move on to fire. Mark, do you want to give us your report?
I will. I don't like talking behind them.
Okay.
We look at our membership, we've got 20 actives, 1 on leave and 5 auxiliary categories. We completed CPR training a couple of weeks ago, had 16 trained and certified. We had almost at the same time received 2 new AEDs that had been ordered about a year ago. They finally arrived. So the training included adult, child, and infant CPR, as well as AED training. Since that time, I made contact with the Charleston County Board of Education. And they had 6 more AEDs that they were taking out of service. They're still useful and compliant. We're ordering fresh batteries for them, and we will get fresh pads in a warranty recall program from Philips AED. So we'll be able to put an AED on each of our trucks as it rolls out in the future, when those new pads come in. Since we met with you last time, we had an opportunity to request a grant that was through Anheuser-Busch for hydration water. And what they do is pick out volunteer departments across the country, and they make water donations to them. They can water and stack it on pallets. So we had requested that. We received the grant, and we have received a large pallet of donated canned water from Anheuser-Busch that was brought to us through the local distributor out of Nashville, Ajax Turner. We'd also had a water donation from the ladies at the Eastern Star organization. We had kept you up to date with some equipment purchases that were planned. We'd ordered 10 new Streamlight light boxes. They've been delivered. We'd ordered 30 Streamlight LED helmet lights. They've been delivered. We'd ordered the leather front patch for the Karen's helmets. That's been delivered since we met last. A part of the State Fire Marshal's grant this past year was for 6 SCBA air cylinders. Those have all been delivered. And part of that grant was for thermal image camera. We've done a little matching with some local money. And instead of getting one camera, we're getting 3 cameras. So we'll be able to mount a thermal camera on each of our primary trucks that rolls out, the 2 pumpers, and then the pumper tank. Those came in yesterday. So we received delivery. In conjunction with the fire marshal's office, they have scheduled a visit at the department next Tuesday. If any of y'all would like to be present, you're more than welcome. I've notified the mayor and his office that they can be present. They're going to each of the departments that received a grant. So doing a little statewide tour. They'll have a mock-up big check like their photo op for that. So 2 o'clock on the 15th at the fire station, if any of you would like to be present. They have made available $11,400 through that grant. And it went to get 6 air cylinders and about 1.5 of the thermal cameras that we received. We ordered some new hose to have in inventory, 10 sections of 1 3/4, 4 sections of 2 inch, and 4 sections of 3 inch. That's been delivered. We've still got a few things on our wish list that we'll go through and process and prioritize for this coming year. One of the big ticket items will be turnout gear. I will tell you that we're anticipating 10 sets of turnout gear to be in the neighborhood of $30,000. It's in the neighborhood of $3,000 per set. I have made contact with Enbridge Gas Company. They have a public safety grant arm of the company. And I've made application to Enbridge for a $12,000 grant to go toward the purchase of turnout gear. We probably won't know the outcome of that request until September or October. And that's all right too, because once the equipment is ordered, there is about a 6-month lag time between date of order and date of delivery on turnout gear. So it'll work out okay. The commitment letter on the new brush truck was signed. The price listed in the commitment letter is $238,535. We did pull the PO for that at the time we signed the commitment letter. The PO came out of last year's funding budget because the commission moved money around about the month of May or June to move those monies into the fire line item. So that was pulled as a 2022 purchase order. That'll be carried over and should be paid out roughly December. That's when we're anticipating the truck. On ours, where Matt was talking about, they were looking for a chassis. The company we've chosen for this replacement truck had a chassis. So that was a big part of the decision. We could go with one company that did not have a chassis, one company that had one. So we picked the company that had one in stock. That should speed up the delivery by several months. We pulled a purchase order to repair the wrecked brush truck and send it to Blankenships. He has asked us to wait a couple of weeks until he can finish the concrete work around his truck. So it will be, or around his garage, so it will be easier to move the truck around from time to time that he has it. So within the next couple of weeks, that truck will be moved to Blankenships. The next page in mine is a call volume. This takes you through end of July.
Can I interrupt you and ask you how long he's gonna take to
Huh?
repair it, Blankenship?
He has not told me that. I can't tell you, I don't know. Total calls through July is 72. They're broken down as 8 structures, 5 vehicles, 14 grass and woodland, controlled burn fires, 11 that were hazardous conditions or service calls, and 33 of those that were false calls or good intentioned calls. One that was a rescue, we were page 2. In terms of mutual aid, we've given mutual aid 20 times, received it once. The total dollar loss for this 7-month period, a little over $400,000. Our average personnel per call is 7.48. Average trucks per call is 3. Average response time 7.65. The next page behind that is basically a duplicate, just breaks down the calls in that 7-month window in slightly different fashions, but the same data is shown on both of those 2 pages. I'm going to pause. Is there any questions?
Yeah. Your emergency medical treatment, what is that?
Where are you? If I may ask.
The rescue calls?
Okay. That's where we're paged to assist rescue. It's a mutual aid call where our services were needed for one reason or another. Sometimes it's lift assist, sometimes it's to assist with the activities that rescue is performing. It might be extrication, it might be any type of assistance where there is. Most of the time, they're motor vehicle accidents. Most all of them are motor vehicle accidents. The particular call you're referring to, I can't give you the specifics. I don't have it in front of me.
It's got the emergency medical treatment.
Do you remember anything about that particular one that's a lift assist? Okay. Question? David?
In the last 5 or 6 months, I've heard that we've had a lot of people quit. I mean, we've had quit.
You've lost, probably in 6 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe. If my memory is correct. In about the 6-month window,
Every reason.
they all just voluntarily gave it up. Did
I
not
heard it.
state another reason.
I just heard it was more, so.
No, we're still sitting on 20 right now, 20 actives. That's the number that's been somewhat constant over the years. We've had as high as 27 or 28 at times. We've been as low as 15 or 16 at times. Around 20 is the fairly constant number.
I have one other rumor that I've heard, I just want to get it. It's the fire at this elementary school, the car fire.
Yeah.
How many people responded?
I can't tell you that specifically. I do not know. There were quite a few on the scene,
Okay.
but
Did anybody have trouble getting the truck in truck pump or didn't know how to put it in pump?
That part I don't know because I was not first to arrive on scene. So by the time I got there, it was pumping water and flowing.
That's where we're going, right? I just wonder,
Okay,
that nobody needed to have to put in the pump, somebody, a stranger put in the pump for.
okay.
So, just wondering.
Anything else?
All right, we'll move on to rescue.
Right, this is their stuff. I don't know the number of calls that they've been on. If they get it, but that means, we have 17 current members. We haven't put anybody in Chief Harris's spot yet. I guess we're waiting to really see what the plan is with potentially merging departments.
I think we're waiting for the consultant to come up with
Sure.
that.
Great. I didn't know if there was a time frame or anything that
Yeah.
needed to hurry or not hurry. We are scheduled to take the new Tahoe to get striping and vinyl put on it. As soon as they have a slot for us to get in, it's gonna be $675. I think it came in quite a bit less than what we were anticipated. The lighting package is ready. We gotta deliver it. It's gonna take, he's gonna have it for a couple of weeks before he gets that turned around. We gotta take it to knock. Might just go around something, maybe a little closer if I can, but the Nashville office that it's the same company, had like a 3-month turnaround time, so the Knoxville store in 2 weeks. I don't wait on options on it. Outside of that, can't think of anything else special rescue related other than now, all the vehicles are in service and everything's.
So since Daniel's gone, who's leading and,
Just me right now.
okay, is that the plan moving
Well,
forward?
that's why I was curious if there was a
I mean,
combination timeframe, if it was even more.
after we talked about it at the last meeting, I talked with the mayor and he said that he had the consultant talking with everybody, so I am just waiting for that.
That's a long process.
Absolutely, that's a long
Yeah,
process.
so-
That's not gonna be
Oh,
anytime.
It's, because it's gotta go through the full body, and so if you wanted to.
What's the consultant?
Somebody until.
The consultant is to, you might be better explaining that.
He's looking at, the county court approved the money and the process of bringing a consultant in to look at the possibility of emerging rescue and fire. And I think he had difficulty getting in touch with Mr. Harris, and then after Mr. Harris resigned, and so we're kind of, I'll be talking to Matt about that as to how we're going to proceed as far as rescues and put into the conversation with fire.
Have you talked with the consultant?
I have not. No,
Okay,
Did you know there was a consultant?
I knew there was one, but I don't.
he hasn't reached out to you or tried to communicate with you?
Is he supposed to?
Actually, his contact with Daniel.
Okay,
So I need to reach out to him or?
I'll have him reach out to you.
Okay.
But even that would be,
yeah, I don't expect that to happen within even 6 months.
oh, no.
No, I know.
definitely
I wouldn't think
not.
that
It's
at
a
all.
long, unless you would like stay over rescue for a while.
I'll see what. Or somebody take those. Yeah, but- No problem. I wasn't sure.
Because they, like, I know that without somebody at the helm, that a bunch of rescue found out.
What was-
It was the Eden Mark class.
Oh, yeah.
It was-
I was supposed to teach it.
Yes, well, he was gonna teach one of the classes. I know because the instructor actually worked. with him. And so he was like, what happened to Trousdale? And I didn't know that they had found out, but I just, maybe if there's somebody in his place. they
I'll
felt-
share with the time frame. Doing things for us. Now that I know that I'll get somebody, and that's fine.
I'm sure there'll be months and months of big going to main body and us tossing it around.
Any other questions on rescue? All right, we're gonna move on to resolution 2022-2764. This resolution was passed last January, or excuse me, last July by the commission. It is in essence, a scholarship for, as it stands, current employees of the ambulance service to go to EMT, AEMT, or paramedic school. There was $30,000 set aside. Only 3,000 of that has been used in a year now. We have worked today to revise that. You have a copy of that as well, and I will tell you what we have changed. We added in ambulance service employees is there, and then we also added employees or volunteers desiring to attend EMT, AEMT, and paramedic classes. So that would extend to volunteers of the fire department or rescue. We would pay for their this class. We also changed the requirements for a 3-year term of work with the EMS to 1 year. We also put a clause in there that the EMS director should sign a letter of agreement prior to the start of the class to hire those persons receiving the educational assistance from us. That's just, and Matt, you can tell me if that's acceptable or not.
Maybe we have positions open.
And that's why that's in there, because I didn't want us to be paying for a lot of people to go to the EMT class and then there not be a job. So that's why, that was kind of a way to get you or whoever the director is included in that. Does that seem okay?
It does, yeah, my head's fine. I'll be happy to have one.
Okay, perfect. Then in the memorandum of agreement, we changed a lot of that, and you'll have to compare. We deleted a few things.
Why not open this up to all of Travis County? This is ARPA funds that were set aside, take somebody coming out of school, they wasn't able to get a.
Actually, I didn't have a problem with that. I suggested that when we talked about this. The problem was we didn't know what kind of employee, how many employees we would need. And I didn't want to open it up to a bunch of citizens and then not have a job for them. Because in talking with other commissioners about this, if there's no way for Trousdale County to benefit from paying for their class, it's not gonna, it doesn't make much sense for us to pay for them to go to class.
It's the same as the volunteers, though. It doesn't,
I'm open to that. I am 100% open to that.
I mean, it's tax dollars that all already was allocated to something. I mean, we might as well open it up to Trousdale County. And I was fixing to give an explanation of it, but I mean, my daughter, for example, is gonna go, she's gonna be a paramedic, so if she didn't have the grades during high school to get the scholarships and she has to put in the work to fill out her FAFSA and do all that, she could benefit from this to come through Trousdale County because it's where she wants to work. I mean, that's the only thing I got. I really don't fear. It don't bother me because like he said, it's all about the positions are open anyway.
Right, exactly. We do have $30,000 set aside for this. So at this point, if we expend that, we'll have to think of that in future years as far as budgeting and how we would do that. But this is just a way for us to utilize these funds that we set aside. Yes.
Did we name them just for?
If you
Whatever this-
look at the existing resolution, it says understanding between ambulance service employees. It is only for the ambulance service employees, right?
Yeah, like, so I wonder whenever we designate those ARPA funds, whether or not you can use them for other than.
Yeah, I mean, if we change this resolution, we can. Yeah. Yes, Mr.
I
Mayor.
see the way y'all wrote it up because they already have a job. That's why they put it in there like this.
Right.
I see why y'all did it like this.
There was also a line in here that we would pay 8 hours while they were in class. We took that out. Mr. Mayor.
Randall Curry called me this week, and right now they have 13 persons signed up for the Ball State course, which is going to cost
Start Monday.
$11,000, which means currently it's only going to cost like $850.
Exactly.
Persons to attend, and if they get 20, then it could be reduced to like $300. So we really need to fill that class.
Right, and this class starts on Monday. And if this committee seems favorable to this, then some volunteers that are interested in doing this class could go ahead and sign up for the class, and then hopefully this passes the full commission, and then they can get paid. We can pay for the class after September 1st.
How many people from Travis County is gonna be at that class so far?
Currently, right now, there's 2.
And then it won't go to full body until,
The end of the month. But those volunteers, if it doesn't pass the commission, the end of the month, then they can just withdraw and not be out any money. I've spoken with Mr. Kirby as well. Yes,
Would it be beneficial to add, like, say, several people of rescue or fire took the class, but there wasn't any open positions at EMS in the field, but they stayed at their department respectively for a year? Is that
as a volunteer,
as a volunteer?
I'm open to that. Other commissioners are not. I am definitely, I'm open to anything we can do to get more employees for EMS. That's what I'm open for.
It benefits everybody to have them here.
Exactly,
if they're volunteer
exactly. Yes,
On their department.
yes. So if you guys want to change it to include all of Charleston County citizens, and they only have to work for, or they only have to continue to volunteer for their department for a year, we can do that.
But what if they're not volunteers?
How? The question becomes, you're gonna have them sign a contract that they have to become. Once they pass the class and pass the test, and they are. What happens if they,
Nobody's gonna stop there, even if volunteers take this. And just say nothing opens up within a year or 2 or 3, it doesn't mean just because they have this class, that they're gonna be hired.
the line in here that says the EMS director shall sign a letter of agreement, yes,
yeah.
they will be hired. They will have to go through the HR standards and pass all of that. But yes, they will be hired. That's the whole point of the letter of an agreement.
What class does Randall teach? Did you say?
It's EMS, is that, I'm sorry, EMT class is starting Monday, and then the AEMT class is starting in January, I think. And he can't teach a paramedic class, but they can go to, I'm trying to remember, if they can go to Ball State, and it's less than $5,000 to go and get their paramedic, but they have to be EMT, then AEMT, then paramedic. Yes, sure.
Yeah, you have to have. it
Hang on,
used to
Chris
be
was
you had to
talking.
be an EMT for a year before you go right back.
I see, I don't know the details. I've just talked to Randall this week, so I don't know. Yes, Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. I was gonna ask why we're changing it from the requirement to be with the department from 3 years to 1 year. If we're having a hard time getting people, which it would seem like we want to lock them down.
I mean, I would love to lock them down too, but I have heard from current EMS employees that the 3 years was too much. Because it is only a $5,000 expense to go to paramedic school, or if they go to the EMT class, it's only an $800 to $1,100 expense. I'm sorry, $800 to $1,600 expense. For me, a year is worth $800 to $1,600.
Oh, I think a year is definitely worth it. Just seems like it maybe it ought to be. If 3 is too long, maybe it's 1 too short, I guess is what I'm asking.
I'm just trying to make it easy, you know? But I get it, yes, we questioned that and thought of that too.
And then on the flip side, there might not be a position open in a year.
True.
And then we pay for them to get certified, go somewhere too.
Well, that's not-
Mr. Buckmaster. Do you have your hand raised?
I know I'm not a member of this committee, but I was actually part of drafting this to begin with.
Mhm.
Would you mind if I gave my insight?
Not at all.
It was originally designed to include volunteers. Multiple purposes, one being that, let's say, some of Matt's people are on vacation, and you take a vacation. They could serve as a part-time employee.
I'm gonna interrupt you because we included that somewhere in here that being a PRN employee at the ambulance service would count.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, just in the future.
Yes,
Also, in the event of a disaster, you had multiple trained personnel, he has a third truck. Maybe you activate that. That was actually part of the purpose, as well as opening up local people that can be hired when he has opening. Now, Mr. Crooks statement about, you know, his daughter or any other person in
Charles
the
County.
county. It's a simple solution. Come and volunteer. Because that was another point. You build your volunteer workforce as well.
Absolutely.
All you gotta do is come volunteer, fire rescue, either one. Now you gain an extra volunteer and the possibility of an EMT. That's the way we were originally designed.
You know, people is gonna choose whether they wanna be a volunteer down here or not. All I was saying is, I don't have no problem with the volunteer part. I'd like to see it open for the whole county to be able to do it. I don't have a problem with volunteers doing it,
That's what I'm saying. Anybody in the county wants to do it, let them come be a volunteer.
but they shouldn't have to be a volunteer at the fire department to be getting this ARPA funds.
Any other comments? Any motions?
What made you guys want to do this?
It was brought to my attention. I received an email that there is a current volunteer that is signed up to take the class or going to sign up to take the class that would like to take advantage of these funds. I don't know who it is.
For a fire, oh, you don't,
I have no idea.
which side it is? A volunteer, you said?
A volunteer.
Okay, because I don't ever remember being set up with volunteers in the past.
Madam Chair. can I
Yes.
interject
Uh-huh.
a comment or two?
Sure.
And this may kind of cover what Mr. Crook was alluding to. The class is open to anyone.
Yes.
One of the funding mechanisms that Mr. Kirby has in place is through workforce development. And if the individual wishing to take the class meets the guidelines that workforce development has, and most of those are family income related guidelines, then workforce development will cover the cost of the class. So that is another way that your local citizens who are not volunteers could have access to the class and access to paid funding if they meet those workforce development guidelines.
And I think when I talked to Myra Ryan at Workforce, she specified that low income would help her shop.
Right. Always does.
I have not, Mr. Beller has not reviewed this. We literally just drafted this today, so he has not reviewed this. This may change. But I just wanted to bring it before y'all and get your thoughts on it. Yes, sir.
I agree about opening it up to the county, but I understand that his daughter might not want to be a
Sure.
volunteer fireman to be around a bunch of, you know,
Sure.
she'd be uncomfortable over there as a best, you know, being a volunteer.
Absolutely.
And, you know, now if she could volunteer for the ambulance service or something, you know, someplace where there's other females, that might be better. But I can understand why, but I agree that open it up would be good to the, you know, county.
I just use her as an example, 'cause she's gonna be a paramedic.
Yeah,
And there's probably a lot of people fixing to graduate, the young adults that would wanna do this.
And I would love to encourage that.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think from a county standpoint, opening something like this up does encourage.
I
That's just
agree, Frank. Discussion amongst the young people about being here, staying here, working.
all right,
Okay, so
so
we have to make a motion on whether or not to send it up with our recommendation or not.
you don't have to make that motion. You can if you want, but you don't have to. I have to have Mr. Beller review it regardless. So if you want to make some changes, I can put the changes in there to have him review, and then it'll either be on the agenda or it won't, based on his review.
It should come from the.
I mean, I can have your opinion on it, sure.
Yes. Yes.
Opening it up doesn't stop the volunteers from doing
No,
it. I don't-
And I know.
And I never intended that to be
sure.
But it might encourage people to
It might.
volunteer.
the, it might.
I think it ought to be opened up. I think that needs to be put in.
So it should just
I
be
think that
a scholarship for all of Charleston County citizens, period.
I second it.
So that's a motion? Motion to send this with a favorable recommendation, including all of Trouser County citizens. Correct? And a second, all those in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Is there any other discussion? Any other public comments? I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Adjourn.